Yeah, my name is Patrick. I'm founder of NMaker, as you heard. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about NFTs, who would have thought, about where we are with NFTs, about where we're going with NFTs, and how we get there. But before I start with that, maybe let's just start by jumping to the next slide. It works, perfect. And tell you a little bit about what NMaker is and what we are actually doing, just so everyone here is on the same page. So basically, NMaker is Web3 infrastructure. So we try to build the tools that allow everyone to build on Cardano, right? Because building on Cardano is very difficult. There are many things involved. There's Haskell, a very difficult language, and the entry barrier is not super low. So we try to make that as easy as possible. And that's why we last year created NMaker, and that was actually the very first time that many of the people in the Cardano ecosystem could do anything with their ADA which was different than just staking the ADA or sending it from A to B. So it was one of the very first tools, and since then we have grown and we have developed more and more tools, and we are really focusing on just bringing that entry barrier down as much as possible. So essentially, what you see on screen right now is NMaker Studio. That's our core product. So that's basically a tool for everyone to register on and launch very large-scale NFT collections. So it has APIs, it has no-code tools, it has like a payout system, and so on, payment system, sorry. And we are continuing to just grow that ecosystem, providing everyone who wants to build on Cardano with those tools to do whatever they want. And to quickly go over the product again, the next slide is showing basically the three big tools that we have. One of them, NMaker Studio, foundational layer. Second one, NMaker Pay, which is the checkout system that I just mentioned, which is really about making the checkout process very similar to PayPal in a way, because Web2 people know PayPal, they know how to use it. And as a cryptocurrency company, we should be aiming towards making it as easy as possible. So it's very good to look at the existing Web2 solutions that normal people understand and try to emulate that for cryptocurrencies. So we have credit card payment and so on, just to make that user entry flow as easy as possible. And long term, we're also building an NMaker account because we see the need for a way to, in a custodial way, get NFTs without, yeah?
Switch your audio to this.
Oh, okay. It's okay, but hello?
Perfect.
Okay. I hope you can still hear me.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, so basically, NMaker account, one of the needs that we have seen is basically if you pay with a credit card, right, where does the NFT actually go? Because you don't have a crypto wallet, so it's the first time you purchase an NFT, where does the NFT go? So what we want to enable is we want to have an account system with a custodial wallet in the background so that this can be the entry point for people coming into the space and they can really get onboarded very quickly, because NMaker is all about onboarding. We try to get new people in, and I think that's the important part. Here are many great projects, but sometimes it feels like everyone is building for the same target audience, especially in the NFT scene. We have many DEXs, we have many marketplaces, we have many collectibles and so on, but we really need to be focusing on just building tools that people from the outside world want to use, and that's why they get into crypto. So that leads me actually to our topic, right? How to make NFTs mainstream. And yeah, let's start with what NFTs are right now. I just mentioned it a little bit. NFTs are basically 99% collectibles. It's mostly about profile pictures. It's mostly about projects that are similar to the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And on Cardano, we have some amazing projects like Clay Nation, Space Buds, and so on, which are really all about building a community. And the whole business mind behind that, or business idea behind that, is that you build a community which is so large and so engaged that they are able to sustain themselves. Because if you have like thousands of people wanting to participate in this community and having a financial incentive because they own one of these NFTs to grow the community, to build stuff for the community, then in the best case, it's sustainable by itself. And that's what we see with the Bored Ape Yacht Club. But we're also seeing that a lot of projects are failing to do that right now, because oftentimes it's really just about okay, how can we launch the NFT collection? What do we do next? Do we do staking? Do we launch a token? Then do we build a metaverse? And that's kind of the life cycle that we see all the time. And it's not really sustainable because all of them are doing the same thing and are not really thinking about any revenue cycle that you need to have in order to build a regular startup, right? NFT projects are very similar to a regular startup. They raise a lot of money at the beginning by selling out their collection, and then they work through that money, and then the money is gone, and then the project either lives because the community is big enough, or it dies because there's nothing else behind the scenes. So that's where we are right now. Now the question is, where are we going in the short term? Because I think that's also very interesting. You always have to think about short and long term. And especially for a company like ours, it's very important to think about, okay, how can we sell the next millions of NFTs next year? And how can we sell billions of NFTs maybe in 5 years? So to me, short term is quite clearly defined. It's basically the whole entertainment space that we have right now. It's very much about gaming. That's a big topic for NFTs. It's very much about music, books. We have one great book project on Cardano called Book.io, which is doing amazing stuff. And these real first utility cases. So and I'm really pushing for that, we're really focusing on just creating use cases that make sense for people who might not be interested in just collecting a profile picture or something like that. A lot of people actually want to, be deeper involved in the Lord of the Rings community, for example, but don't really have an access point. So, those artists and those brands, they love having NFTs because they can really connect with their fans and they can give them exclusive access to certain topics, to certain live streams, to certain trailers, whatever, and use that just to foster that sort of community that they are building. So that's where I see it in the near future. So just to a little bit iterate on that, one of my favorite examples always is Book.io. I think that's one of the greatest projects on Cardano, and I keep shilling them, but that's how it is. What they do is quite cool because they are really focused on just making ebooks accessible and solving the secondary market problem that Kindle, for example, has. Like, there's no secondary market for Kindle. You can't really easily sell your ebook. You can't buy one. And of course, the authors and the publishers are not benefiting from a secondary market. So they are really bringing true ownership over books back into the digital world, which is super important because at the moment, everyone is dependent on Amazon. What happens if Amazon decides to shut down Kindle? You will probably lose all your books. So I'm very excited for these sorts of use cases where you use the NFTs actually for something you want to do and you get a real benefit instead of just collecting them. And the collecting part is still important. It's a additional layer that makes it interesting, right? There's a lot of collectors in the book scene. I like having nice, beautiful books on my bookshelf. Now I have nice, beautiful books basically in my wallet. And to make you understand a little bit how NMaker comes into that, here's the flow of how NMaker works in general. Basically, you upload all the books in this case, or NFTs in this case, to NMaker Studio, our backend solution, and then you can easily integrate that payment system that I showed earlier, NMaker Pay, onto the website. And it's so easy to use. That's why we displayed Webflow here, because it's basically like a drag and drop tool to create your own websites, and you don't have to know any coding. And I think that's really strong, and that's how we can get a lot of these businesses into the space. But now let's talk quickly about NFTs in the far future, because I think that's also one of the interesting things when you come first into crypto. You get all these promises of crypto is changing the world, we're completely revolutionizing governance, we're doing all the stuff that is currently happening in a centralized way, and we're decentralizing everything. And it's all amazing, and there are great use cases. You can decentralize housing, you can fractionalize housing, you can have insurances, you can have all these different cool use cases, but it's very far away. And I've been talking to a lot of companies that come to us because they want to do something with NFTs. They see the trend, then we sit down together and we talk about, okay, how can you actually apply this in your regular company, in your regular business? And then, those people are experts in their field, we're experts in the technology side of things. We kind of advise them on what is possible and what is not from a technological standpoint. And then we figure out, is this actually feasible from like a legal perspective? And the legal perspective is always the critical point. I'm from Germany, and there especially anything you do with like insurances or housing particularly is extremely difficult. So it's all things that can be figured out, but it's all things that are due in the long term, not in the next year, but like in 5 years, hopefully. So hopefully in 5 years we will have like all the ownership rights, in Germany we call it the Grundbuch, on the blockchain, and not be dependent on like centralized government issued services. But it's, as I mentioned, very difficult. But that is really where we want to go. That is really where NFTs are necessary and helpful. And I do believe that anyone in the world should be using NFTs without even knowing that they're using NFTs. That's like the world where I want to go to. Like my grandma should be using NFTs, or maybe not her, but my mother at least should be using NFTs, and shouldn't even know that she is using NFTs. She should just use any application that she wants to and benefit from the benefits that these NFTs and Web3 in general offers, right? So that's really where we need to go as an industry, and that's how we get to the mainstream. So quickly about what we're building right now to differentiate NMaker and in general Cardano NFTs from NFTs on other chains, and how we really try to push this whole real world story and this whole real world use cases thing. We have been working very much towards that. We have been focused very much towards building tools that allow you to actually solve problems that a lot of people from the outside world have with NFTs right now. Like for example, purchasing with credit card. And one of the latest features that you can see here on screen right now is actually our newest feature together with IMX, which is a company also from Germany that is doing digital identities. And the idea here is really to take that whole verification process of NFTs and decentralize it. So basically what happens is, artists are able to connect all their social accounts, connect all their KYC, connect all the stuff that they want to connect directly to a digital identity and then connect that to the NFT. And that's super strong because it removes the need for centralized verification mechanisms in a way. We don't have to have JPEG Store having a database of verified collections or so, but instead we're giving the power back to the users so that they can look at all these connected accounts in the DID and just decide for themselves, okay, do I trust this NFT which was issued by Paris Hilton's Instagram account, Twitter account, Facebook, and KYC, or do I not trust that? And we can automate that even further to give like certain trust scores and make it really accessible for people. But I think stuff like this is really the first step towards, a more mainstream adoption of NFTs because we can solve these like really big issues that also artists from the outside world have with NFTs at the moment. They all see, look, I'm a famous artist and now my artwork got stolen and sold on OpenSea for 1 ETH, and I'm not benefiting from that. So they need to have like some sort of way we need to have some sort of way to actually prevent that and make sure that we only see legit projects and legit verification mechanisms. So I'm excited for that. It's out right now. It's very cool. And another thing that we have been working on is actually NFT licenses, because we have also identified that a lot of people are buying NFTs and they don't even know what they're actually buying. Like in most cases, it's literally just a link to a JPEG and nothing more. And that might be nice if you want to have just a collectible or so. But in many cases, the power of NFTs is actually with what is actually attached to this NFTs, what sorts of ownership rights are attached to the NFTs. With the Bored Ape Yacht Club, you can do whatever you want with your ape, and you can build a whole brand around it, and there have been restaurants and stuff like that. And that's really interesting, because then you can have like the whole stock images market completely decentralized and build it around NFTs, for example. And and we saw that, and we saw that no one really knows what they're actually buying or what they're actually selling. So we've decided to partner up with a law firm and create a few different NFT licensees that are just simply inside the metadata of the NFT on Cardano, so that people always know, okay, if I have an NFT with this, it's following a certain license, and then I can do like X, Y, and Z with that. and if not, then not. So I hope that we can solve a little bit of this like unclarity that we have in the space at the moment. Yeah, that's already it. I didn't fill the 30 minutes quite yet, but thanks for listening. If there are any questions, feel free to reach out and or ask them right now if you want to. And yeah, thanks for it. Okay, no questions. That's good. Then thank you so much for listening and see you around. Oh, there's a question. I don't have a microphone. You need to be very loud. Could you tie an NFT to a script? Yeah, you can wrap NFTs inside scripts. So you could have a script that, for example, enforces royalties or something like that, and you can wrap them inside the script, basically. Ah, right. Yeah, of course. You can basically NFTs are just tokens, right? They're just a representation of ownership on the chain. So you can tie whatever you want to that. You can have a script. You can have a PDF in there. You can have different rights for the script in there and stuff like that. So it really doesn't matter what the content is. So yeah. Yes, you could say, okay, the owner of this NFT is the owner of the script and has the rights to use the script to create a movie or something like that. And then you sell it, and then basically, you create a really cool secondary market for movie scripts, which I think is very compelling. And actually, I know of one project that is doing that on Cardano right now. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi.
About SIP66? Yeah, that's the NFT identity SIP. So basically, SIP66 is just the standard that we proposed so that you can tie a digital identity, a decentralized identifier, to the NFT. And then what is inside the digital identity doesn't really matter. It can be whatever you want, like a social account, it could be KYC, it could be your credit card information, whatever. And then it's tied to the NFT, and then people have the ability to look that up and say, okay, this account, like the social account, for example, is 100% connected with this actual NFT collection. Because that's like the big problem, right? How do you verify something is legit? You go to the Twitter account, and then you see Paris Hilton tweeting about the NFT collection, and then you trust the Twitter account to be real, and that's how you verify that the NFT collection is real. But that's not how it should be. It should be way more accessible, and it can be done via this simple, login with Google, login with Twitter, and then creating a DID out of that and connecting it so that marketplaces can always show, okay, these different accounts are really verified, for example.
The stores would show that standard.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Hi, Patrick. If I can, please.
Of course, yeah, there.
I heard a lot of talk in the presentation around helping your mum, your grandma, and others sort of access NFTs and start using them without knowing they're using them. How do you think we, as an industry, overcome the barrier of custody and custodial elements? For instance, my mum and my grandma wouldn't like the idea of being in full control of all of their funds and all of their assets. They quite like the idea that if stuff goes wrong, they can phone the bank or phone a help service. I think that's quite a barrier for us to overcome.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the big reasons why crypto isn't quite there yet. Because a lot of people are, probably everyone here is very much, in favor of this idea of having like full ownership over their financials and having the keys themselves and stuff like that. And that's really cool. But it doesn't work for the majority of people in the world because they, when I try to teach my mom anything on the phone, she struggles with even sending a GIF on WhatsApp or something like that. So, you need to figure out ways to build like a mix between the two. So I'm very much in favor of having custodial solutions, and especially as an entry point. So, when you get into the space for the very first time and you don't know your stuff, then you want to have a custodial solution so that you can get in there and be safe. And I do think that, banks in general will have like a slightly different role in the future. but they will not go extinct or anything like that. It's more going to be about convenience, basically. So, you know, you have more options. Either you manage everything yourself, or you trust someone, some third party, to do it for them, right? So I like it. Yes, I think it's.
Is it on? Okay. Hey, I'm trying to understand like the concept of inventory monetization, and from your perspective, like what you just laid out. If you look at Walmart, for example, if you have inventory that you're sitting on, that are we going to get to a point where you can tie an NFT to inventory that is not needed within a specific period of time, where that NFT can be tied back to the inventory on the shelf? And how is that practical from what you know at this point?
Maybe. It's hard to answer for me because I don't know a lot of things about inventories, and I don't know a lot of things about Walmart. I've been there once or twice in my life. But you can certainly do that. And I think the important part is that you figure out, okay, what does actually make sense to have as an NFT or you know, on the blockchain in general, and what does not make sense. Because there's a lot of sentiment going around of people saying, okay, we should decentralize everything. We should put everything on the blockchain. And it doesn't make a lot of sense for every single use case. Like, there are very good reasons why, for example, Walmart might not be doing that. Like, supply chains for Walmart make a lot of sense because there they have to trust other people, they have to trust their suppliers. But if they just talk about like an internal system of their own inventory or so, then it might not make sense, because then it's just one company themselves that they have to trust. So why would it be on the blockchain? There's no reason for a blockchain to be there. So I think blockchain always comes in when you have to trust another party, because then you can remove that need for the trust, and that's really how I see it. I hope that answer was okay. Yeah.
Hi, thank you. I apologize too. I made it a little late, so I don't know if you covered this. But I have, let's just say you have a physical, let's just say an autographed photo. Does that make sense to actually take a picture of it and make it an NFT, because it is specific and it is of some value?
Yeah, I mean, there you have to think about, what does the NFT represent? Do you use that NFT to then make the selling and trading of this physical autograph more easy and more accessible, and then the owner of that NFT can actually come to your place and then say, okay, I want to burn the NFT, for example, and get that autograph from you, like the physical one? Then that makes a lot of sense, because there are many very expensive art pieces in the world, like the Mona Lisa or something like that, and they are stuck in one place, so you can't really easily sell them and resell them. But what would be amazing is if you can take that art piece, digitalize it, and then create a completely independent secondary market, and it's very clear that it's still staying at one place until someone is actually claiming the ownership for that. And I think that's really huge. It's always about efficiency in a way. I'm a German, so I'm always about efficiency, and and that's kind of how I see it. Yes.
Hey, Pat. Yeah, so NFTs have been really a big part of even adoption and bringing even more users to Cardano, but also overall to the kind of crypto community overall. So if you look at the next maybe 5 to 10 years, where do you see NFTs going, in which direction, and maybe the impact on also the growth for Cardano and the crypto industry?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think there's like the short term and then there's the long term. And the short term for me is entertainment. It's going to be purely about entertainment in the next few years from the adoption standpoint. So I'm excited for the gaming market specifically. And then the long term, I hope to see NFTs basically integrated in every single part of our lives, where it's about having some sort of ownership, because you can decentralize all sorts of ownership, and I want to see like governments going in there and saying, okay, we embrace this sort of technology and we are going to put the rights over anything on the blockchain. And also one thing which I find is very interesting is again, this component of having your digital identity connected to your wallet. So basically what I can imagine is that like my university, for example, just issues my degree as an NFT. And it wouldn't be super public. It wouldn't be saying, okay, this degree is for Patrick Tobler and it was issued on that date or something like that. But instead, what they have to issue is they have to issue some sort of proof that the degree is actually legit. So they're going to post the hash on the blockchain. And then I have the degree in my wallet and I can go to a potential employer or so, and I can show it to them and they can check the hash on the blockchain automatically in the best case and say, okay, this is legit and this was really issued by this university because this university is somehow connected with their digital identity and they did like KYB, know your business, and connected it to the creation of that NFT. And that's what I think is extremely strong because then you can collect all your major like life milestones in your wallet and have no issue with proving that they are legit. And we will have a much more efficient system again to employ people and stuff like that. Cool. Okay, so he asked how much of our 10 billion supply is out on the market, just because it was a little bit quiet. I think it's 1.4 billion or something like that at the moment. I'm not 100% sure, but you can look it up on Cardano Scan. We are basically releasing it over the next few years because we want to incentivize people that use NMaker, and we want to give them tokens for minting NFTs, trading on the secondary market, and so on, and really, basically push out tokens to every single person interacting with us in any way. So it's going to be a slow but steady curve. Yeah. Cool. So, if there are there's another question. I hope I'm not overdoing my time or anything.
Hey, Patrick. Does the NMaker have any plans for cross-chain stuff?
Yes, good question. We do have plans for cross-chain. I do think that the future is cross-chain because there are certain blockchains that do certain stuff better. To me, Cardano is the governance and digital identity chain. And then we have other blockchains like IOTA, for example, which are very good with like IoT devices and stuff like that. So we do have plans in that regard. I can't really announce anything. We actually have a Milkomida integration live, but it's not public yet. But we have some potential grants from other big blockchains that we can announce in the next few weeks. Yeah. About Microsoft, yeah. Yeah, so that's actually, we just for context, so that everyone knows, we recently announced that we got into the Microsoft Startup program, which is a really cool step for us. Thank you. Now I want to say something hype because everyone is excited here, but what I wanted to say actually is that it's a lot less hype than people think it is. Yeah, I mean, honestly, all of the big three companies like Google, Microsoft, and AWS, they all have startup programs like that. And the good thing about them is that they issue you tokens so that you can use their infrastructure and their servers for free, basically. And our plan is to, use more of Microsoft's architecture and infrastructure, and then kind of offset our costs a little bit because our AWS server costs are insane at the moment. So, yeah. Okay, I think that's it. Then thank you very much again, and have a great rest of the day.